nerves of steel, man. I don't know how you hold it down like that. That was incredible.
Justin Wong, I think I've known since he was 13 years old or something like that, which is almost creepy.
Well, that was like my first fighting game I ever played in like the beginning of my life. And at the time, I was playing with my elementary school friends, and you know, we were just playing, and it was like, okay, this is pretty fun because you're playing with another person. I was never really good at the fighting games. I just know how to like just cheese people out. Pick like Bison and just like hold back and do side pressure from screen to screen to screen away. So I didn't know what I was doing at all. I was just like, okay, this looks really cheap and overpowered. I just started going secretly without telling my family, you know, okay, after school, after 3 o'clock, I get off school. Yeah, I'm going to the after school program and stuff like that. But really, I'm going to an arcade to spend like 50 cents a day.
He was sort of one of these phenomenon kids. Somebody that really grew up in the fighting game scene and was born into it.
I had to be home at like 6 p.m. One day, my parents, like on a Friday, my parents are like, oh yeah, you know, we're gonna have a banquet in Chinatown, so they're gonna have like a dinner there. So I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go hang out with my friends. So I eventually stay out there. When it was like 7 o'clock, a lot of the adults that gets off work came to play, and then they were really amazing good. They just beat the crap out of me. And then the token guy was like, those are like real tournament players, and they actually play in tournaments, and they're considered the best in the United States. And I'm like, that exists? I never knew they can take video games seriously in like sports.
ファイティングゲームっていうテーマそのものが人間の根源的欲求ですよね。こう誰かとこう競い合って優劣を決めたいっていうスポーツの世界でもそうですけれども、一番象徴的なのがやっぱりそのファイティングっていうテーマだと思うんですよね。
I love sports competition, but those kind of games immediately disqualify a huge percentage of potential players because you're just too short to play basketball, or you're not big enough to play football, whatever it might be. So Street Fighter opens the door to a lot more people. It capitalizes on sort of the best elements of chess in terms of strategy and thinking and creating these situations and creating these combinations, not just in terms of a literal combo, but setting your opponent up, trying to put them in a position where you can grind them down and take advantage of a positional situation, but also of games like poker, which is really all about reading the mind of your opponent at its top level. So poker has all this variance and these elements of luck, and it's only by playing 1,000 games of poker that you can really tell necessarily who's the better poker player. But in Street Fighter, if you're the better player, there's really almost no element of luck whatsoever. So if I'm good at reading my opponent, I can take great advantage of that. It's sort of this great mix of fear and emotion and mind reading and strategy and great physical execution, and so it has these elements of all these great competitive games rolled up into one.
The worst thing that I ever hear is when people say, oh, you're just mashing buttons. If you see a SportsCenter highlight of Kobe Bryant doing some round the back and dunk, you're just like, that's amazing. And no one has to play basketball, but you're just going to assume that was amazing because it just looks hard to do. But when you watch someone do something crazy in a fighting game, a lot of people don't know what it was that they did. I just want to get it to that point where you're like, oh, it's like Kobe Bryant doing a dunk. You just know exactly why it's great.
And I spent another whole summer just like coming in the morning at 10 a.m. and like leaving at 5 p.m. And then one Saturday, there was just like a ton of people. I'm like, why are there so many people here at 10 a.m.? No one's here at 10 a.m. And they're like, oh, we're going to a tournament in New Jersey. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And they're like, do you want to come? And I was like, I don't know. I'm not too sure. I went anyway because I'm thinking, oh, tournaments, they shouldn't last that long, right? I spent the whole day there and the whole night. And then my parents are calling me like, where are you? What are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna stay at my friend's house. And they're like, no, we want you to come back home. And I'm like, oh, I can't because I'm in New Jersey. And then they're like, oh, you're gonna be so much in trouble when you get back home. I was like, oh man, I better make it count. going from the East Coast all the way to the West Coast for tournaments. It was hard to find a lot of excuses to stay out for the weekends because it was like a weekend thing. Like if I'm in California, I'm like, yeah, I'm like doing something with my friend in New Jersey, so I'm not gonna be home for like until Monday because I'm like 15, right? So why will you're gonna let your 15-year-old son travel from New York to California for a tournament? Yeah, that's not gonna happen, right? Without a guardian. So I went there without no guardian. Just went there with my straight arcade friends and, you know, let's see what happens. And I won the tournament. They're like, here's your prize. It was like $1,000. And I was like, wow, I never seen this much money in my life as a 15-year-old. So I was like, damn, I traveled pretty far. My parents still don't know. They frown on you playing video games. Don't play video games. Don't even go outside. Just study, go to college. That's it, right?
By the time I got to college, the internet had sort of picked up a little bit of steam. I found people around the world who had the same bad attitude that I did. They were like, oh, I'm the best. And you're like, shut up, I'm the best. And you hear rumblings about there's these players in California who are really good. There's these players in Japan who are really amazing. So the idea of like traveling somewhere to meet somebody on the internet was super bizarre at that time because there were no pictures, you didn't know who they were, you didn't know their real names, you didn't know anything about anybody. But we were cracked out on the action.
The idea of the quest for the best player, that just sort of naturally happened. I decided that the best way to settle this was to have a tournament, with the goal being really, let's get players together, let's get them to meet each other, exchange ideas, but ultimately also find out like who's really the best.
Here we are, Evolution 2004. It's an exciting moment. Players from around the country and indeed around the world. 33 different countries here.
I think at first we just wanted to be a cool thing that we had for ourselves. Like we were running a cool little event that everyone could find out who the best person in the world is.
That was thrilling, like to watch people get together from different areas. And so they'd send like their best dude or whatever. And you're like, oh, the best dude from like Dunellen, New Jersey is here. And I killed him. That's cool. Okay, so Dunellen is like I own those guys. So it just sort of naturally ramped up from there.
The story of Street Fighter over the last 20 years has really been going from these local scenes and then all the players in these individual pockets finding each other all over the world. So we've gone like from local tournaments to citywide tournaments to regional tournaments where it's not just players from one state but many states. And then within the last 5 or 6 years, we've started to see regular international competition.
And as we got more traction as the years went on, they were pointing out that we were considered the official big league tournament of the world.
The second year of the EVO tournament, Joey, who had been helping me out, brought on Seth to sort of pick up the slack. And they actually ran the tournament that year. We brought a lot of insight and just a lot of smarts, helped us get things, take it to the next level. That was the first year we were in Vegas.
When it got to Vegas, that was sort of when you could really tell it had arrived. This is, you know, the world of high stakes gambling. This is where men come to play, and we're here to play.
People scream at EVO and get hype and get crazy. It's because we are all looking at something significant to us. Hype is this unbridled vitality that courses through someone in the moments of suspense and anticipation. You feel all these emotions right before something happens. That's hype. It's that burst of energy from that connection.
We made the move in 2005 to go to Las Vegas, and we haven't looked back, and our attendance keeps doubling year after year, which is the most insane thing I've ever heard of, and players from like 40 countries now come out.
アメリカのトーナメントっていうのはどちらかというと本当に強い人がちゃんと勝ち上がれる システムを作ってるっていうか、例えばダブルイリミネーションっていうルールがあったり、その格闘ゲームっていう文化がやっぱり海外に対して日本人がすごい強いんだぞっていうのをアピールできるっていう意味では、そういった海外に向けて発信できる日本の文化としてはストリートファイターっていうのはすごい貢献してるんじゃないかなって思うんですよね。そういう意味で国際交流のきっかけにもなってるんじゃないかな。
I went to Evo like twice, and I want to go again. I love that. Even if I'm not playing, just to see it. It's like these people dedicated their time, and they're doing the game justice, showing how a true person that masters the game, how he plays for the rest of us.
You just need to like focus on becoming the best, knowing what your flaws are, like watch your old videos on why you lose and take out your bad habits so people can't read you as easily. It takes a lot of dedication and motivation, and like if you really want it that bad, you can achieve it. My parents, for like at least 5 years, they just never knew. They don't know how big it is until like Street Fighter 4 came out, and then the whole GameStop Street Fighter 4 tournament. The winner, they get like this interview, and then you're gonna be on GameStop TV for like a month straight on every GameStop TV, right? Why would my parents ever go to GameStop? They would never go to GameStop. But my cousins will, right? My cousins are the one that told my uncle, and my uncle told the rest of my family. He's like, "What's that? Street Fighter? Is that like real fighting?" They're like, "No, it's a video game." Okay, but I don't want you to get too obsessed with it and stuff like that. But I'm already obsessed with it, obviously, because I'm traveling around the world to tournaments. Well, I guess they were okay with it, but they're not happy about it.
Has no shame when it comes to playing, which is a good thing. If something is good, he will use it to beat you, and he will keep using it to beat you until you prove that you can stop it.
People make a lot of comparisons to like the Matrix. Like he sees the code. He has his own unique way of seeing the game, where it's not just about doing cool combos and getting in someone's head. It's also about meter management. It's about the clock. It's about the space around the screen. And thinking in these kinds of terms and growing up with the game like he did has made him sort of this sort of legendary genius who can travel across all games sort of freely.
He's just an all-around fantastic player.
My style is more of like it used to be very lame and boring, I'm not gonna lie. It's very defensive, the most boring thing you ever see, like I could put you to sleep type of thing. So I decided I want to take like a more offensive route to like please the crowd, if anything, right? And that's why I kind of end up with Rufus, because he's very rushdown oriented, and he just likes to just maul people. People don't like to see defense. They like to see all offense. They like to see people get blown up. They like to see people just get like destroyed.
The ironic thing about Justin Wong is that he's such a great player, but some of the most famous and memorable moments in the history of Street Fighter happen at his expense. The most famous is the Daigo Parry moment.
When I played him in Third Strike, I was really surprised that it was like really like close, but I guess it's because it's really hard to get in against Chun-Li.
Daigo is known to have said that you don't play to your opponent's weakness, you play to your strength and let him worry about your strengths.
He's not a physically intimidating character, but when you watch him on screen, there's just this immense toughness. He doesn't get shaken.
日本のプレイヤーっていうのはリスクをまず考えてゲームをするんですけど、海外のプレイヤーっていうのはまずリターンを見てから、 リスクを考えるっていうプレイヤーが結構多い気がしますね。
Some people will call him sort of like the stoic, sort of Buddha-like character. I think is a complete mischaracterization. He's got that. He's got an inner calm, but he's also just a little bit of a dick.
8年前ですよね。あんまよく覚えてないですけど。
Back again, the man, the myth, the legend, the beast, Daigo!
Rare footage of Daigo actually angry.
Daigo doesn't crack, and you just have to beat his super clean style.
He's got like this psychic mentality. He knows what you're going to do like 4 steps before. Like he should really be a chess champion. But he's also super good at executing anything he tries. So even the super hard combos, he makes them look like they're super easy.
Justin's turtle style. Overcome Rao. Now on the verge of putting Daigo down 1-0.
I had him with no life, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna just do a super, and he'll be dead.
ただもう狙うしかないなって、そのブロッキングを狙うしかもう勝ち目がないなっていう、もうそれで覚悟を決めてたっていうのは覚えてるんですけど。
And I totally didn't think about the whole parrying aspect at all. Daniel's going crazy in the background, right? I'm like thinking like, oh, maybe he'll mess up. But he doesn't mess up.
うまくいってそれで勝てて、あともう特に自分ではやったとかそういう興奮したっていう感情はなかったんですけど、周りがすごい大騒ぎしてたので、それにびっくりしたっていうのはよく覚えてます。
Everyone was like, I didn't know that was possible. Like no one knew that was possible. I didn't know that was possible.
When the audience went crazy like that and the video kind of went viral, it was the first time that it all clicked, like this could really work. Like this could happen. Like maybe we could get to the point where this is like we can pack stadiums and watch these games and have everyone get crazy like an athletic sport.
ちょっと前まではそのタイプの差というよりかは、単純にレベルの差がちょっとあるなと、アメリカと日本で差があるなと思ってましたけど、ここ本当数年はその差がほとんどないので、あまり日本とアメリカっていうのの違いを感じないですね。